On the edge of a remote sector of the galaxy, the starship Horizon drifted silently through the void, its hull shimmering against the backdrop of countless stars. Within the bridge, a sense of anticipation filled the air as Captain Elara Voss scanned the sensors, searching for any signs of the unknown. The crew had been tasked with exploring uncharted territories, but this mission felt different. A whisper of fate hung around them. Suddenly a blip appeared on the monitor, a faint signal pulsing from a nearby planet designated THR-18. The atmosphere was thick with electromagnetic interference, but the readings were compelling enough to pique Elara's curiosity. She turned to her first officer, Lieutenant Marcus Hale, who leaned over the console, examining the data, his brow furrowed in concentration. Captain Voss, should we divert course? The readings indicate unusual energy patterns, and the surface temperature is stable, which is rare for a planet of this type, he said, his voice steady yet laced with excitement. Elara felt a thrill of adventure coursing through her veins. The prospect of discovery always ignited something deep within her. She nodded decisively. Make the course adjustment. Marcus, prepare for descent, she ordered, the crew buzzing with energy as they prepared for the unexpected. As the Horizon descended through the turbulent atmosphere, the planet revealed itself in stunning detail, sprawling landscapes of vibrant greens and deep browns dotted with jagged mountains and shimmering lakes. The vessel landed softly on a plateau surrounded by dense forests. The crew disembarked, feeling the cool breeze against their skin. The artifact was located at the center of a clearing marked by strange stone structures towering like ancient sentinels. Moss and vines clung to their surfaces as if nature sought to reclaim them. The crew approached cautiously, a sense of reverence washing over them as they neared the central structure, a massive stone circle pulsating with energy. "What do you think it is?" Lieutenant Hale asked, glancing at Elara, his eyes wide with wonder. "I don't know, but it feels alike," she replied, her heart racing as she stepped closer. The air crackled with energy, an almost electric sensation enveloping her skin. She reached out to touch the stone. A surge of warmth floated through her fingertips and into her very being. Instantly visions began to swirl in her mind. Shadows of ancient beings and forgotten histories flashed before her eyes. A haunting chorus of voices whispered secrets and warnings that echoed through her consciousness. In that moment, she understood this artifact was more than just an object. It was a key to something much greater. The crew stood in awe as one by one they approached the stone circle. Some were hesitant, while others were drawn in like moths to a flame. The energy seemed to resonate with their very souls, awakening something dormant within them. Suddenly a loud crack echoed through the clearing as the ground trembled beneath their feet. The artifact responded to their presence, unleashing a wave of light that enveloped the crew, throwing them to the ground. Elara felt a primal force surge through her body, igniting her instincts as the world around her blurred. In the chaos, she caught glimpses of her crew writhing in confusion, some screaming while others laughed with exhilaration. An inexplicable transformation was taking place. They were becoming something beyond themselves, and Elara realized they had awakened a savage spirit that had long been dormant in humanity. As the light faded and the tremors ceased, a heavy silence settled over the clearing. The crew lay sprawled on the ground, breathing heavily, their hearts racing with a mix of fear and exhilaration. Elara slowly stood, looking at her crew, each face reflecting a new reality that would change everything forever. The clearing lay in silence as the crew slowly regained their composure. The air still crackled with residual energy. Elara surveyed her team, each member struggling to process the overwhelming experience that had just unfolded around them. A shared look of confusion mixed with exhilaration crossed their faces. "What just happened?" Lieutenant Hale finally broke the silence, his voice a low whisper filled with awe and disbelief. "I don't know," Elara admitted, her mind racing with questions as she felt a strange pulse within herself, a raw energy thrumming just beneath her skin. It was as if the artifact had unearthed something hidden deep inside her, a primal awareness that had lain dormant for centuries. Around her, the crew began to rise, shaking off the remnants of disorientation. Some were wide-eyed, while others wore expressions of fierce determination. The change in them was palpable, a shift in the air that hinted at something awakening within each of them. One of the engineers, Ensign Jackson Carter, was the first to voice what everyone was thinking. "This feels different, doesn't it?" he said, his voice edged with excitement and fear like a taut wire ready to snap. Yes, Elara replied, the weight of realization dawning on her. We are different. Something has changed within us. It's as if we've tapped into an instinct that we didn't even know existed. The crew began to gather around her, the energy of the moment palpable. They exchanged stories of visions, experienced sensations, felt each recounting moments that resonated with their very core. It was both exhilarating and terrifying as they shared their newfound awareness. Then suddenly a shift occurred. Elara noticed the atmosphere growing heavier. A subtle tension hung in the air, as if a dark cloud loomed just beyond the edge of their consciousness. She could sense an undercurrent of fear rising among her crew, and felt the first flickers of something primal stirring deep within her. We should regroup and analyze the data from the artifact, Have suggested, his tone shifting to concern, but the words seemed to ignite a spark in some of the crew members, who responded with barely suppressed energy. I don't want to analyze, I want to feel more of this, Jackson said, a wild grin spreading across his face as he flexed his fingers as if testing newfound strength. Elara sensed the conflict brewing within the crew, the split between those eager to explore their instincts and those wary of losing control. She could feel the tension coiling tighter, the primal urges pushing against the boundaries of their humanity. This is dangerous, Elara cautioned, her voice as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the alien landscape. The crew of the Horizon gathered in the clearing, preparing for their first encounter with the hostile alien species that had detected their presence. Elara felt the tension in the air thickening, like a storm about to break. They had picked up strange signals on their sensors, and Jackson had insisted on investigating further, believing that confronting this new threat would solidify their bond as a crew and test the limits of their newfound abilities. Elara was torn between the need to protect her crew and the desire to embrace their awakening. She knew they were more powerful now, but the unknowns weighed heavily on her mind. The clearing felt alive with energy as the crew split into teams, each member fueled by adrenaline, anticipation coursing through them like fire. They had formed a plan to scout the area, but the excitement of the hunt was palpable. Elara could see it in their eyes, the primal urge to confront danger and prove themselves. As they moved through the underbrush, Elara led the way, her senses heightened, every sound felt amplified, every rustle of leaves igniting her instinct. She could feel the presence of the enemy drawing closer, and it sent a thrill of anticipation racing through her. Suddenly a low growl echoed through the trees, and the air became electric with tension. The crew froze, their instincts kicking in as they turned to each other, searching for guidance. Elara raised her hand, signaling for silence, her heart pounding as she scanned the area. Then they emerged from the shadows, a group of tall-lead alien beings with skin that shimmered like oil in the dim light. Their eyes glowed with an eerie luminescence, and their movements were fluid and predatory. They seemed to sense the crew's presence as their growls deepened. Stay calm, Elara whispered to her team. She could feel the energy in the air shifting as fear and excitement battled for control. We need to show strength, but we can't act recklessly. The aliens circled them, their eyes locked onto the humans as if assessing the threat before them. Elara felt a surge of instinct rise within her, the urge to protect her crew, clashing with the primal desire to fight, but she held her ground, focused on the moment. Jackson stepped forward, emboldened by the energy in the air. He raised his voice, challenging the aliens to engage. We are not afraid, he shouted. We are more than you think. We are the awakening of humanity, and we will not back down. The alien beings hissed in response, their voices like a chorus of thunder. A challenge echoed back in the form of guttural sounds that resonated deep within the crew. Elara felt a wave of adrenaline wash over her as she realized the aliens were not merely opponents, they were a reflection of their own awakening. Without warning, the aliens lunged forward, their movements swift and coordinated. Ilara's instincts kicked in as she shouted for her crew to form a defensive line. They moved together as one, fueled by their training and the power that surged through them. As the clash began, the air crackled with energy. The crew fought fiercely, adapting to their enhanced abilities, their movements fluid and primal. They dodged and struck as if they were part of a single organism, each member responding to the other's actions in perfect harmony. In the heat of battle, Elara felt a rush of exhilaration and fear. Her instincts sharpened. Every strike and counterstrike felt like a dance, a fierce expression of their awakened selves. She could see the shift happening within her crew. They were no longer divided, they fought as a unified force, embracing their savage nature while still retaining their humanity. With each victory they gained confidence. The aliens were formidable, but the crew matched their ferocity with determination, the balance of power shifting as they pushed back against the threat. But amidst the chaos, Elara noticed one crew member struggling to keep up, the primal instincts threatening to overwhelm him as he faced an alien opponent. She moved swiftly to his side, her instincts guiding her as she fought to protect him, their eyes locked in a moment of understanding. "We are stronger together," she shouted over the noise. "We can't let the savage take control. We fight for each other, not just ourselves." With her words echoing in his mind, he found the strength to push through the fog of fear. Together, they fended off the alien attacker, and in that moment, Elara knew they had forged a new bond, one that transcended their individual selves. As the battle raged on, the crew fought not just for survival, but for their identities. They were awakening not just to savagery, but to a deeper understanding of who they were as humans among the stars, and with every moment they grew stronger, united in their purpose as they faced the unknown together. The atmosphere aboard the Horizon had grown tense, the excitement of their awakening now mingled with uncertainty as the crew split into factions, some eager to embrace their newfound instincts, while others clung to their humanity. Elara could feel the friction simmering beneath the surface. Each day brought new challenges as they navigated their altered selves. In the common area, tensions came to a head as Jackson rallied his supporters, encouraging them to dive into their savage nature. He stood on a table, his voice booming with fervor. "We have the power to be more than just explorers. We can become predators of the stars. Imagine what we could achieve if we unleashed our full potential." Elara stood nearby, watching as the crew hung on Jackson's every word. She could see the allure of his message. It resonated with their primal urges, awakening something deep within them, a desire for strength and freedom. But she also felt the unease growing in the hearts of those who feared losing control. "We need to be careful," she interjected, stepping forward to challenge Jackson. "This power is not a toy. It could lead us down a path we cannot return from. We must learn to harness it, not succumb to it." But Jackson dismissed her words with a wave of his hand. "You're afraid of what we could become," he said, his tone dripping with disdain. "We've been held back by the constraints of civilization for too long. It's time to embrace our true nature." Elara felt her heart race as the tension in the room thickened. Crew members began to divide, taking sides. Some cheered for Jackson's vision, while others remained loyal to Ilara's cautionary approach. The division cut deep, and she could see the uncertainty in the eyes of her crew as they wrestled with the choice before them. "This is not just about power," she argued desperately. "It's about who we are as a crew, and as humans. We can't let this divide us. We are stronger together, united in our purpose." But Jackson's followers were growing bolder. A few began to echo his sentiments, the thrill of their awakening overpowering their rational thoughts. Elara could see the hunger for freedom in their eyes, the savage spirit within them clawing for release. As the arguments escalated, Elara felt a wave of frustration wash over her. She was losing her crew to the seductive pull of their primal instincts, and she knew that without unity they would be vulnerable to outside threats, not to mention the chaos that could arise from their internal conflict. "We can find a way to coexist," she implored them. "We don't have to choose one path over the other. Let's explore the possibilities of our awakening together." But her words fell flat as the room erupted in heated debate. Some shouted for freedom, others demanded restraint. The cacophony of voices drowned out her attempts to reason with them. The divide was widening, and Elara could feel the gravity of the situation pressing down on her. In that moment, she realized she needed to take decisive action before it was too late. The crew needed a tangible experience to understand the power they were dealing with, and she had to find a way to demonstrate the importance of balance. "We're going to the training deck," she announced, her voice cutting through the chaos. "I want everyone to meet me there in 5 minutes. We need to test our limits together as a crew." The room fell silent as the crew processed her words. Some exchanged uncertain glances, but the thrill of challenge ignited a spark in their eyes. One by one, they began to move toward the training deck, a reluctant unity forming as they prepared for what lay ahead. Once inside the spacious training deck, Elara arranged them in a circle. The energy crackled in the air. As they took their positions, she could sense the nervousness mingling with excitement, the primal instincts roiling just beneath the surface. "Listen up," she said, her voice steady and firm. "We are going to engage in exercises that will push us to our limits. We will test our strength, our agility, and our mental fortitude, but we will do it together, supporting each other every step of the way. This is about learning to harness our power, not letting it consume us." As the crew began to move through the exercises, Elara felt a shift in the atmosphere. The camaraderie grew stronger as they challenged each other to dig deeper, to embrace their instincts while still maintaining control. The line between savage and civilized began to blur. But it was in that space that they found a new understanding, a way to coexist in the wildness that was awakening within them. As the echoes of battle faded into the night, the clearing lay strewn with remnants of the fierce confrontation. The crew of the Horizon stood together, breathing heavily, adrenaline still coursing through their veins. They had fought valiantly against the alien threat, but victory came at a cost. The air was thick with a sense of triumph, mingled with the weight of their choices. Elara surveyed her crew, their expressions a mix of exhilaration and confusion. The awakening had brought them together, but it had also awakened something deeper and more chaotic within each of them. She could sense the primal urges simmering just beneath the surface, the thrill of battle igniting a hunger for more. Jackson was the first to break the silence, his voice booming with excitement. "We did it," he shouted. "We fought back, and we showed them what humanity is capable of." Cheers erupted from the crew, but Elara felt a chill creep into her heart. The thrill of victory was intoxicating, but she feared what it might unleash. She stepped forward, her voice steady but firm. "We need to talk about what just happened." The cheers faded as the crew turned to her, their expressions shifting from joy to uncertainty. Elara felt the weight of their gazes as she continued, "We fought well, but we can't let this power consume us. We need to remember who we are and what we stand for." Some of the crew nodded in agreement, but Jackson stepped forward, his expression fierce. "This is who we are now, Elara," he said, his voice rising. "We are no longer just explorers, we are warriors. We have awakened a savage spirit within us, and we should embrace it." Elara felt a surge of frustration, his words resonating with those who were eager to relinquish control and embrace their instincts. She knew that while their primal awakening held potential, it also posed a risk of losing their humanity in the process. "We are stronger together," she insisted, looking each crew member in the eye. "But that strength must come from unity, not chaos. We need to find a balance between our savage instincts and our humanity." The crew began to murmur among themselves. The divide was deepening. Jackson's followers echoed his sentiments, eager to embrace their newfound abilities, while others voiced concerns about losing control. Elara felt the tension rising, the fabric of their unity fraying before her eyes. Then suddenly one crew member who had remained quiet until now stepped forward. It was Sarah, a communications officer, her voice steady and calm. "I understand the thrill of power," she began, "but we have to remember that it is not just about strength, it is about how we use that strength." Elara felt a flicker of hope as Sarah's words cut through the chaos. She continued, "If we let our instincts dictate our actions, we risk becoming the very thing we are fighting against. We have to harness this power for a purpose." Jackson scoffed, but Elara could see that some of the crew were starting to reflect on Sarah's words. The seeds of doubt were beginning to take root in the minds of those who had been swept away by the rush of their awakening. In that moment, Elara seized the opportunity. "We need to find a way to train together," she proposed. "Let's develop our abilities, but under controlled circumstances. We need to learn how to channel this power responsibly and work as a cohesive unit." A murmur of agreement rippled through the group as they considered her proposal. Elara could feel the shift in energy as the crew began to recognize the importance of balance. It was a small victory, but a crucial step in preventing further division. "All right," she continued, "let's head back to the ship and set up a training regimen. We can explore our capabilities while ensuring we don't lose sight of who we are as a crew." As they made their way back to the horizon, Elara felt a renewed sense of determination. She understood that the path ahead would not be easy, but it was essential to guide her crew through the complexities of their awakening. They had faced their first test and emerged stronger, but the real challenge lay ahead, finding harmony between their savage instincts and their humanity. As the ship's lights flickered on, Elara looked around at her crew. They were bruised but unbroken, a testament to their resilience, united in purpose, ready to confront whatever awaited them in the vastness of space. And within themselves, they would learn to harness their awakening together, forging a new identity as humans among the stars, with both strength and compassion guiding their way. The horizon hummed softly as the crew settled into their familiar routines, yet everything felt different. The atmosphere buzzed with an electric energy as Elara led them in establishing a training regimen designed to harness their awakened abilities. She could feel the anticipation building among her team, eager to explore the limits of their newfound powers. In the training deck, they gathered in a large circular space surrounded by equipment designed for physical and mental challenges. Elara stood at the center, her heart racing with a mix of excitement and apprehension. As she addressed her crew, "We're here to learn to work together and understand our strengths," she began, her voice steady and clear. "Each day we will push ourselves physically and mentally, but we must always remember to support one another. Our awakening is not just about individual power, it's about our unity as a team." The crew nodded in agreement, their faces reflecting a blend of determination and curiosity. They were ready to embrace the challenge, but Elara sensed a lingering tension from those who had fully embraced their savage instincts, particularly Jackson, who stood at the edge of the group, a fire burning in his eyes. "Let's start with agility and strength training," Elara instructed, directing them to split into pairs for combat drills. She watched as they moved through the exercises, their bodies responding with an ease that was both impressive and alarming. The raw power radiating from them was undeniable, but she could see the danger in their enthusiasm. Jackson quickly took the lead, sparring with one of the newer crew members, his movements fluid and predatory. The thrill of battle ignited something primal within him, and Elara watched as he pushed harder and harder, the line between training and aggression beginning to blur. As the sparring intensified, Elara stepped in to intervene. "Jackson, take it down a notch," she called out, but her voice was drowned out by the sounds of exertion and excitement around her. He was lost in the moment, his instincts taking over. The new recruit stumbled back, trying to keep up with Jackson's fierce energy, but it was clear he was outmatched. Elara felt a surge of concern rising within her. She had to maintain control before things escalated. "Enough," Elara shouted, stepping between them, her body tense with authority. "This is training, not a fight. We are not here to dominate each other. We need to learn to work as a unit." Jackson's eyes flashed with defiance, but he stepped back, his breath coming in heavy gasps. He was still caught up in the rush of adrenaline, but Elara could see the struggle within him, the battle between his desire for power and the need for discipline. The crew shifted uncomfortably as the tension hummed thick in the air. Elara took a deep breath, trying to calm herself before addressing the group. "We are strong, but strength without control can lead to chaos," she said, her voice steady. "Let's focus on teamwork instead of individual glory." They regrouped and moved through a series of drills designed to promote cooperation, communication, and trust. Elara watched as they struggled and stumbled, but gradually began to find their rhythm, the balance of power shifting from the individual to the collective. As they worked together, Elara felt the bonds among them strengthening. They were learning to harness their instincts and channel them into something greater, each member contributing their unique abilities to the whole. It was a beautiful sight to behold. Later that day, as the training session came to an end, Elara gathered her crew together, her heart swelling with pride. "You've all done exceptionally well," she praised them. "Each of you is beginning to understand the importance of unity and cooperation. This is just the beginning." But as she spoke, she couldn't shake the feeling of unease that lingered in her mind. She knew that they were still at the precipice of something much larger. The awakening within them was still a wild force waiting to be fully realized, and she worried about what that could mean for their future. The next morning, as they prepared to continue their training, a new challenge loomed on the horizon. An unknown threat had been detected nearby, and Elara sensed that their skills would soon be put to the test in ways they had yet to imagine. She steeled herself, knowing that the true battle lay ahead. They would have to confront not only external enemies, but also the chaos within themselves, and she hoped they would emerge united, stronger, and ready to face whatever awaited them among the stars. As dawn broke over THR-18, the crew of the Horizon gathered on the training deck, their spirits high, but a sense of urgency filled the air. Elara felt it in her bones. The impending threat had been confirmed. A fleet of unknown vessels had entered the system, and they were heading directly toward them. She could see the concern etched on her crew's faces as they prepared for the unknown. "We have to stay focused," she addressed them, her voice firm. "We need to utilize everything we've learned so far to face this threat. Together we've trained for this moment, and now it's time to put that training into action." The crew nodded, their determination palpable, but Elara could sense the underlying tension, especially from Jackson, who had embraced the savage spirit within him. It had transformed him, but it also threatened to consume him. She had to keep him grounded while navigating the chaos ahead. As they moved to the bridge, Elara took her position at the helm. The crew settled into their stations, readying the ship for whatever lay ahead. She could feel the hum of energy in the air, their awakened instincts thrumming like a live wire. On the main screen, the approaching vessels flickered into view, dark shapes against the backdrop of stars. They moved with a coordinated precision that sent a chill down Elara's spine. Their intentions were unclear, but the tension in the air told her everything she needed to know. Lieutenant Hale began to analyze the data coming in. "They appear to be armed and are matching our trajectory," he reported, his voice steady but edged with urgency. "Captain, we need to decide whether to engage or retreat." Elara weighed her options. The danger of retreating would leave them vulnerable, but engaging could lead to catastrophic consequences if they were outmatched. She looked around at her crew, each face reflecting a mix of determination and fear. This was the moment they had trained for, but the stakes had never been higher. "We need to make contact," she decided, her voice cutting through the uncertainty. "Let's attempt to establish communication before making any rash decisions. Prepare a transmission." As the crew worked quickly to set up the communication systems, Elara felt her heart race. The moment of truth was approaching. She needed to convey strength and unity to whatever was out there beyond the darkness. Aboard the alien vessels, the tension was palpable. Their crew members moved with a silent urgency, their ships gliding through space with an air of predatory grace. Elara could sense the hostility radiating from them through the static of the comms as she waited for a response. Finally, a voice crackled through the speakers. It was deep and resonant, a clear challenge. "We have come to claim this sector, humans. You will submit or face destruction." Elara's heart sank at the harshness of the demand. "We will not submit," she replied, her voice strong despite the fear that bubbled beneath the surface. "We are explorers, not conquerors. We seek to understand and coexist, not to dominate." Silence followed as the alien voice processed her words. Then came the response, a low growl laced with skepticism. "Coexistence is a weakness. Surrender or prepare for battle." Elara felt the weight of the ultimatum pressing down on her. Her instincts screamed for action, but she knew she had to hold her ground. She looked at her crew, each face reflecting a mix of resolve and uncertainty. This was their moment to stand united. "We can't back down," she said firmly. "We've trained for this. We need to show them that we are not afraid. We fight not for dominance, but for survival and for each other." Jackson stepped forward, his eyes blazing with determination. "Let them come," he said, his voice filled with fierce confidence. "We'll show them the strength of our unity. We'll fight together as one." Elara felt the fire ignite within her crew. The energy shifted as they rallied around her, united by a common purpose. They prepared their defenses and readied the ship for battle. As the alien vessels closed in, Elara's heart raced with adrenaline. She understood the stakes now more than ever. They were not just fighting for their lives, but for the very essence of what it meant to be human, to embrace their awakening while holding on to the values that defined them. With one final look at her crew, Elara knew They were ready, they would face the unknown together, embracing their instincts and their humanity united as they prepared to confront the alien threat looming just beyond the stars. The tension in the breach of the horizon crackled like static electricity as the alien vessels loomed closer, their dark silhouettes merging with the vastness of space. Elara felt the weight of her crew's determination pressing down on her. They were ready to fight, ready to defend not just their ship, but their identity as humans among the stars. "We are going to initiate evasive maneuvers," she commanded, her voice steady and resolute. "Keep your eyes on the sensors and prepare to return fire if necessary." As the ship jolted into action, the crew moved with a coordinated efficiency honed by their recent training. They understood the stakes and the importance of working together. The energy in the air was electric as they navigated through the oncoming threats. On the view screen, the alien ships closed in, their weapons primed and ready. Elara's heart raced as she calculated their next move. The crew behind her remained focused, their instincts sharp, their training coming to the forefront of their minds. As they veered to the left, dodging the initial blast from the nearest alien vessel, the impact rattled the ship, but the crew held firm, their resolve solidifying with every challenge they faced. "We've got this," Elara urged them. "Stay together and trust in your training." The ship shook again, this time more violently as another shot landed nearby. Alarms blared around them, but Elara felt a surge of adrenaline empowering her every decision. She knew they had to strike back. She turned to Hale. "Give me targeting solutions. We need to hit them where it hurts." The lieutenant worked quickly, adjusting the weapons systems as the crew focused on their roles. The synergy among them was palpable, each person operating as an extension of the other, a seamless blend of human instinct and learned skill. "Firing in 3, 2, 1," Elara commanded, and the ship shuddered as they unleashed a barrage of fire toward the nearest alien vessel. The impact reverberated through the deck, and Elara felt a rush of satisfaction as the enemy ship began to falter. But they weren't out of danger yet. The remaining alien vessels regrouped, their movements swift and predatory as they retaliated, launching a new wave of attacks. Elara's heart raced as she maneuvered the ship, trying to keep them out of harm's way. Jackson shouted from the weapons station, his voice filled with urgency. "Captain, they're trying to flank us. We need to adjust our defenses." Elara quickly processed the information, her mind racing as she calculated their options. She had to think fast. "We'll divert power from the shields to the engines," she instructed. "It's a risk, but we need to outmaneuver them." The crew worked quickly as the ship lurched forward, their speed increasing as they darted through the debris of the battle. The alien ships pursued them relentlessly, but Elara felt a glimmer of hope rising within her. They were not just surviving, they were thriving. With a swift maneuver, she brought the ship around, positioning them for a counterattack. "Ready, on my mark," she called out. The crew braced themselves, their instincts alive as they prepared to strike. "Now," she shouted, and the ship fired again. This time the precision was unparalleled. As their shots found their marks, the aliens began to falter, their formations breaking under the pressure of the coordinated assault. "We're making progress," Hale shouted, his eyes wide with excitement. "Keep it up, we can't let up now." As the alien vessels began to retreat, Elara felt a surge of exhilaration course through her. They had faced the unknown and emerged victorious. But the battle was not just about defeating an enemy, it was a testament to their unity, their strength as a crew that had been forged in the fires of conflict. As the final alien ship retreated into the depths of space, a triumphant cheer erupted from her crew. The sense of accomplishment was overwhelming. Elara turned to them, her heart swelling with pride. "You did it," she exclaimed. "We did it together." But beneath the exhilaration, she knew that this was only the beginning. Their awakening was an ongoing journey. They had faced their primal instincts and emerged stronger, but the challenges of the universe still lay ahead. They would need to navigate those uncharted waters with both courage and compassion. As the horizon drifted through the stars, Elara looked around at her crew, each face illuminated with the glow of triumph and determination. They were not just humans traveling through the cosmos, they were something more. They were a new breed of explorers, ready to embrace the future, whatever it may hold. United by their shared experiences and the awakening of the savage within them, they would face the stars together.